How's all doing? The Sega Saturn, The Sega Saturn is one of my favourite game consoles. I think it looks brilliant, it has a great game library and, I just like it. Now, it is a failure, it didn't do well, it didn't sell well, and really it destroyed Sega as a hardware manufacturer. And, Sega are to blame, they're the ones that, dug their own grave and jumped into it. We're being fucking idiots. Instead of fucking supporting the Sega Saturn and having a unified plan, no, that didn't happen. Now, what I mean by that is, there was Sega of Japan, Sega of Europe, Sega of America. Now, instead of working together as a team to make the Sega Saturn fucking awesome, that didn't happen. Because each region had their own plans, had their own things of what they wanted to do. Some wanted to bring out the Sega 32X, some wanted to bring out the Sega Neptune, and some wanted to bring out the Sega Saturn. So, it was chaos, Instead of saying, right, this is what we're going to do, the Sega Saturn, No, they had all these other plans. So, Sega's focus wasn't really on the Saturn, So, that was a problem. Second problem, they built the Sega Saturn to be a 2D powerhouse. Now 2D gaming was going out of fashion and 3D was the future. But Sega couldn't see that. And, that's where they fucked up. Whereas Sony with their PlayStation, the Sony PlayStation is a 3D console and Sony made it that way. And 3D games were the future. You know what I mean? And, so Sega saw just how powerful the Sony PlayStation was in terms of 3D graphics and 3D polygons and all that. So they panicked and says we had to make the Sega Saturn 3D capable. So they panicked and they threw in a second processor to give it 3D rendering. But because of this, it fucked the whole system up. And not many programmers had the ability to program two CPUs. So because of that, many Sega Saturn games don't use the system's full power because it's too complicated. So again, Sega made the system too complicated to make games for. Now, it's not impossible to make a good 3D game for the Sega Saturn. It just takes a lot of hard work and a lot of time. And fucking many developers didn't want to do all the hard work because they didn't see a big enough investment in it. Because not everyone had a Sega Saturn, everyone had a Sony PlayStation. Because Sony did everything right with the PlayStation. First thing is, they made the Sony PlayStation £100 cheaper than the Sega Saturn, right? When the Sega Saturn came out in Ireland, right, it was fucking £500, right? Whereas the PlayStation was £400, Now, and the Sega Saturn was less powerful than the Sony PlayStation, Now, when it comes to 2D gaming, right, the Sega Saturn is fucking unbeatable. With games like Guardian Heroes, fucking Power Drift, Outrun, Afterburner, all the old school stuff, Now, like I said, it struggles doing 3D, but it's not impossible of it. And the Sega Rally, Virtua 42, Forza Megamix, Exhumed, Quake, Duke Nukem 3D, the Panzer Dragoon series are all examples that the Sega Saturn is fully capable of doing 3D games. It just takes a bit more hard work to do. But all this was the reason why the Sega Saturn failed. It was a failure. Right? It came out in 1994, the 1st of the 1st, 94 in Japan, but it didn't come out here till 95, right? And it was just a big fucking disaster, So, yeah. Now, when you first turn on the Sega Saturn, you'll have to enter the year and the day, and it'll save it onto the system. Now, the system is powered by a watch battery that powers the internal memory, but that watch battery will die out within a year or two. So if that goes, all the date, time, all your save games will go too. So my advice is get a Sega Saturn memory cartridge or an action replay cartridge that are going to cartridge port, so you can save your games Plus the action replay cartridge acts as a save cartridge, a cheat cartridge, and also lets you play games from other regions like Japan and America. So my advice is get an action replay cartridge. You know, if you want to save your games and play games from America, Japan, or anything like that. You know, and the Sega Saturn has a net link. You could go online with the Sega Saturn, play a few online games. Not many. Duke Nukem 3D, Sega Rally, Virtual On. Virtual On is an awesome game for the Sega Saturn. You know, and the Virtual Cop games, House of the Dead. You know, there's so many great games for the Sega Saturn. You know, despite it being a failure. Now it came out in '94. Here in '95, I was pretty much finished out in 1998. But it lasted a bit longer in Japan because the Sega Saturn was more popular over there. So around 99, 2000, I think it was finished in Japan. Right. So yeah, like the Sega Saturn had a lot of fucking potential, a lot of features. Like I said, the net link, and you could watch video CDs. You know, you watch fucking films on it. So it came with a keyboard and fucking everything. So it was really a PC, like, you know, because it had all these features. But where it mattered most was the games, you know. Now, look, it says it does have great games, but it also has a lot of shit games as well. And that's what fucking a lot of people that hate the Sega Saturn focus on. The fact that it has so many stinkers, like, you know. Because, like, you know, it does have it does have a lot of stinkers, you know, but it has the majority of its game library is awesome, in my opinion, especially when it comes to RPG games, 2D games. It's fucking awesome, you know. So the King of Fighters '95 is fucking awesome, you know, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, my advice is, I would highly recommend getting the Sega Saturn despite it being a failure, like, you know. This is the Model 1 controller. I mean, this is the Model 1 Sega Saturn. So yeah, so my advice is, if you like Sega stuff, if you like Sega arcade games like Sega Rally, Virtua Fighter 2, you know, Fighting Vipers is another great game for the Sega Saturn. Last Bronx is another great game for the Sega Saturn. You know, just so many great games. You know, it's awesome. Manx TT Superbike is another great game. You know, Sega Touring Car Championship, in my opinion. I mean, I love Sega games. That's why I got a Sega Saturn, like, you know. So yeah, so I'm just gonna go to the startup screen, you know. There's a cool startup screen. Sega Saturn 1995, like, you know. It's a shame, you know. It's just a shame that Sega fucking killed it, like, you know. This is Doom on the Sega Saturn. I already did a video on this, so it's just a shame that this turned out like shit, like, you know. So that's it for the Sega Saturn, like, you know. I'll make another video later on about it, so I'll see you, bye bye.